Thank you for joining us. This is the first of a series of weekly discussions that we will be having along with the team at Quint. Now, the idea is obviously we're in election mode, and we're going to every week sort of sit together and dissect all of the big moves that are happening that week and give perspective so that you know everything that's happening politically. Also, from our end and Be Truth, every day at 7 o'clock in the evening, we will put out a video on something to do with the news. This could be explainers, there could be interviews, there could be discussions like the one we're having right now. When speaking of the Quint team, joining me right now is Aditya Menon. Aditya Menon is the political editor of Quint. Aditya, thanks so much for joining us. Really interesting, week we've had from the Congress party. More exits, we understand. Obviously, Ashok Chavan's a big one from Maharashtra because Maharashtra is still a very interesting state. I just read that they're expecting more to follow him. Is that what you're picking up as well?
Ashok Chavan is indeed big because so far in the opposition side we had the split in the Shiv Sena, we had the split in the NCP. Congress was this sort of island of stability in the opposition, but with Ashok Chavan's exit, I think that stability has been broken, and Ashok Chavan was one of the only two winners in the 2014 Lok Sabha elections from Maharashtra. Even the second seat they won in that election was in Ashok Chavan's area of influence, which is Nanded, Hingoli, the Marathwada region. So, a very big exit, one of the few remaining mass leaders, one of the few remaining Maratha leaders in the Congress. So huge blow, and yeah, it won't be surprising if more people follow. Also, before Ashok Chavan, Baba Siddiqui from
Yes.
Bandra also quit the Congress, and he joined Ajit Pawar's NCP. And then there was Milind Devra. So maybe more
Yeah.
to go. Yeah.
And here's the interesting thing, right? For me, these are associations with the Congress party that are at least 30, 37 years old. Baba Siddiqui is a permanent fixture. For those in Bandra, everybody's familiar with him. He's been around since the Sanjay Dutt days. What do you think is causing this sort of abandonment of ship? Is everybody now clear that the Congress is sinking? I mean, apart from the election that's coming up, what are the main causes in your mind for this kind of exit?
So of course there are the usual conspiracy theories that these leaders have cases against them. Maybe may not be. These obviously these are factors that could contribute, but there's obviously no way we can verify. But yeah, there is probably a lack of faith in the Congress's ability to be the natural party of power and the natural party of governance. Now, these are people who are local notables. They have an entire ecosystem to take care of, so they cannot remain out of power for very long. For Ashok Chavan, it would be, except if we ignore the MVA interregnum, it would be a good 10 years out of power. Same goes for Baba Siddiqui. It's very difficult for them to keep their entire ecosystem going, keep their cadres happy, keep their supporters happy. So I think that there is a lack of faith in whether in the Congress's ability to win. For in particularly in Ashok Chavan's case, also the sort of resolution of the Maratha reservation issue was also a factor. I think there seems to be a sentiment in the Maratha community in favor of the BJP and Shinde alliance. So maybe Ashok Chavan may have also that would have played on his mind as well.
I find this interesting, and I'm not sure how voters are going to read this, but Ashok Chavan is accused in the Adarsh scam, which was a massive scam that shook the government he was CM of. Along with, say, Praful Patel, Chhagan Bhujbal, Ajit Pawar, these individuals were the poster boys, for corruption from the BJP's point of view. These were the massive accusations that were being sort of traded and leveled in 2014 and 2019. From a voter's point of view, the fact that these individuals are now in the BJP, is that damaging, you think? Or is it all water under the bridge, all is fair in love and war at this point?
It would be confusing. In fact, I wanted to ask you the same thing because you are based out of Mumbai, and I mean, you have on one side Milind Devra and Baba Siddiqui now in the NDA side, and Arvind
Yeah.
Sawant and Uddhav Thackeray are on the MVA side. So for a Mumbai voter, it might
Very
actually be quite
confusing.
confusing. And yeah, obviously people like Ajit Pawar and Ashok Chavan, they were like the pet enemies of the BJP, and of their entire resentment was created. Someone like no the that Kirit Somaiya, he used to rant
Yeah.
against these two leaders every day, and now suddenly he's nowhere to be seen. So quite a
I
big
would be
churn
very,
in
I would be very interested personally, and it is confusing. I'll tell you many reasons why Mumbaikars are confused. I would want to know what some primetime anchors who really rallied against these politicians during the other scam days and now are very pro establishment. I wonder what stand they are going to take, because this really, it's amnesia. I've forgotten everything that has happened in the past. But I'll tell you what I'm picking up on the ground, both from supporters and voters. The BJP supporters are saying, hey, you know what, sound and wait, whatever it takes to make sure that the Modi government comes back for one more term. We don't lose the momentum. So it's a sense of we've got this great momentum going, and we need him to come back for another term in order to sort of close that wave, right? We don't want to take any chances at all, and so whatever it takes, you do whatever it takes. It's fine, and I think that that's the sense inside the minds of those who already support the BJP. For the people who support the Shiv Sena, the Uddhav Thackeray Shiv Sena, it's very confusing because on one hand you have the whole Ram Mandir that they got kind of left out of. It was a legacy that they participated in, and it's confusing for harder Shiv Sena supporters who don't know what to do with this feeling of being left out of the entire Hindutva narrative. Um, on the other hand, you know, the Shiv Sena has run the BMC, the city now, for 25 years. That BMC council expired a couple of years ago. There's been no election. So right now, the Shiv Sena is not running the city either. And you don't really know which leader is part of which faction, because the big parties of the NCP and the Shiv Sena got split down the middle. So it's all really confusing, and people are sort of just waiting for, I think, for leaders to pick sides before they can decide how they feel about it. But here's an interesting rumor, though. There was a rumor covered by two prominent Maharashtra journalists this morning saying that the NCP, the Sharad Pawar NCP, is going to merge and roll into the Congress party. Um, that I must accept was unexpected. I did not expect that. Supriya Sule coming in by the end of the day saying that no, this is not going to happen. But what have you picked up?
So it's a bit difficult to believe because all said and done, NCP is a separate party with a separate identity. Even though ideologically there's hardly anything to choose between the Congress and the NCP, but they have a very strong caste base among Marathas and also a very strong area focus in Western Maharashtra. So I and also there is this thing that Sharad Pawar is still the tallest Maratha leader in Maharashtra,
Hmm.
and now for him to sort of uh, go back to the Congress and become one among many Congress leaders, it would be a slight climb down in terms of respect and prestige, which matters a lot for communities like the Marathas. So it's a little difficult to believe, but yeah, in terms of if
But but Aditya, they don't have a popular leader. Ajit Pawar was their popular leader. I mean, he was the election sort of winner. From what I understand, senior Pawar, Sahib as he's called in Maharashtra, doesn't have the energy to campaign on the ground like he used to, and they're a little concerned about how much ground they can cover in a forthcoming election. If they don't have Ajit Pawar on their side.
Yeah, there's also a sense among most of the Maharashtra politicians that the Lok Sabha is sort of like a dress rehearsal, and the real battle is the Vidhan Sabha elections later this year. So maybe even a Sharad Pawar NCP or Uddhav Thackre's party might just let this battle pass without sort of sticking their neck out too much, so that they can focus on the bigger battle and deploy their resources there. I think for many voters also, they might just end up voting differently. Maybe the Lok Sabha elections are about Prime Minister Modi, issues like Ram Mandir, whereas the Vidhan Sabha elections, I think this antipathy towards figures like Ajit Pawar and Ashok Chavan and them changing sides, I think it will be much more tougher for BJP to negotiate those contradictions. at the Vidhan Sabha level.
No, but if we step back for a second and just take a look at, and I'll come to India Bloc in a minute, but if we take a look at the Congress party, we understand today that a couple of big changes. Sonia Gandhi is now effectively filed her nomination for Rajya Sabha. She's going to be sitting in the Lok Sabha, and that's a big change for that party because she's sort of been the leader, and sort of led them through Lok Sabha for a while. We understand that Priyanka Gandhi might also debut in the Lok Sabha elections for the first time. Could you take our audience to what those changes might be and what the significance of that is?
Huge changes actually, because Sonia Gandhi, even though her tenure as party president may have been uneven, she has been undefeated in purely in terms of Lok Sabha seat, her own Lok Sabha seat. She has never lost a seat in her life. She's won from Bellary and consistently won from Raebareli since 1999. So Sonia Gandhi now choosing the Rajya Sabha route, that too through Rajasthan, is quite
Mm,
significant. I think it's partly because from what I've heard is that there is a feeling that that the Congress is losing their rapport with some of the India bloc parties. So Sonia
mm,
Gandhi wants to sort of smoothen those equations and spend her entire time doing that instead of trying to retain Raebareli. And also, of course, in all probability, she might be vacating space for Priyanka Gandhi to contest
mm,
Raebareli. Also, it's a sign, sort of olive branch to the people of Rajasthan, that the tallest leader and the longest serving president of the party is now going to be a member from Rajasthan. And no, this is a state where the party didn't win a
yeah.
single Lok Sabha seat. So it's some a way of the Congress, a way for the Congress to acknowledge the importance of that state. But it won't be easy because a lot of the local leaders that they relied on to retain Raebareli, like the Akhilesh Singh family and his daughter, they have moved to the BJP now after Akhilesh Singh's death. So Raebareli is no longer a safe seat that it was even until the last election. And we saw what happened in Amethi, Raebareli. Again,
Mm,
BJP
mm.
is going to pull out all stops to sort of defeat the Congress there, especially if Priyanka Gandhi is fielded. So yeah, quite a big churn in the Congress right now.
So, interestingly, even today there was information that Rahul Gandhi might have to cut short his Bharat Jodo Nyaya Yatra by 10 days here, 10 days there. And I remember when the yatra started, it's ruffled a lot of feathers of allies. And besides, there's been conversation of, is this the right timing for this sort of thing? It's drawing attention away from what should be at this point hard seat sharing conversations, energy that should be going into elections at a time when the BJP is really focused. They've got their campaign out, they've got their images out, they know what they're doing. The Congress, doing the Bharat Jodo Yatra, which is still a sort of, I feel personally like a personal to Rahul Gandhi and is not part of the larger campaign for the party or even for the India alliance. Did that gamble sort of not pay off?
I, I in fact think the Bharat Jodo Nyaya Yatra, the 2.0 Bharat Jodo Yatra, did more harm than good for
Mm,
the Congress, because we interviewed Prakash Ambedkar, the leader of the
yeah,
Vanchit Bahujan Agadi, and he
yeah,
said that he was invited for the Yatra, but not invited to join the India Alliance. So it's almost as if the two things were operating in different
yeah,
silos, and his stand was, how what good is, I can't make a photo. You are inviting me for a photo op, but you're not willing to do real political discussions with me. So what good is it to me? Then we interviewed TMC's Sushmita Dev, and she said that India Alliance, the chairperson is Mallikarjun Kharge, and Rahul
yeah.
Gandhi is carrying out a yatra going through states belonging to India bloc parties without consulting those parties. So again, it's sort of creating this confusion in the alliance. And I think during the course of the yatra, we saw Nitish Kumar pull out of the India bloc. We saw Mamata Banerjee opt out of a seat sharing arrangement, RLD going out of the India bloc.
Yeah.
So a lot of damage, I think, has been done. Obviously, we can't blame
Mm.
everything on the Yatra, but there was a perception that the Congress is trying to strengthen itself, and
Yes.
not really bad for the alliance. And
Yeah.
to be fair, there is substance to that, because if we see the areas in Karnataka where the Yatra passed through last time, it's the JDS who suffered. It's not the BJP. So wherever the yatra goes, it sort of gobbles up the entire anti-BJP vote. So a party like the SP or a TMC is bound to feel slightly
Yeah.
worried about it. So yeah, it's not surprising.
Especially, since we remember Mamata Banerjee came out very clearly and said, hey, they haven't briefed me that they're coming to my state. And so I have nothing to do with this. And she doesn't mince words, right? So she obviously being very clear about the fact that on one hand, you expect us to share seats with you. On the other hand, we don't know what you're doing. And if she were to be in a photo op with Rahul Gandhi, that would lend more to Rahul Gandhi than it would to her. So that's something that she would want to sort of prevent from happening. And also, I think interestingly, this time the break between Bharat Jodo Yatra 1 and Bharat Jodo Yatra 2 has given the BJP enough time to sort of be prepared. So they know what to expect. They were better prepared. As soon as he set foot into Assam, Hemanta Biswa Sarma was ready this time. They didn't even let him sit at a restaurant. They blocked him from all of the important sort of spaces. And Biswa Sharma also coming up with things like he's using body doubles to walk. And so he was able to distract quite a bit. So I don't think Rahul Gandhi has managed to gather up the kind of support that he did last time.
Yeah, absolutely. And Prashant Kishore, in a recent interview, I was hearing that he said this was completely the wrong time to do the yatra, and all said and done, Rahul Gandhi is still the face of the party, even though Kharge ji is the
Yeah.
president of the party. So you need the main face of the party in Delhi dealing with things rather than being completely cut off from everything. We have the Aam Aadmi Party complaining that there have been no discussions on seat sharing since
Yeah.
a month. Talks, I think, have been delayed even with Akhilesh Yadav. As we discussed, the deals with TMC have fallen through. So I think it was really precious time and lot of precious resources wasted in the yatra,
Because,
unfortunately.
if we consider how long we've been talking about this inter-block alliance and when they announced it and how even today there's no clarity on what their offering is going into the election, right? So what is your plan other than not Modi? There's no other clear offering of other than the fact that Rahul Gandhi is making these straight statements, right? The other day he said, if we come to power, we will remove the 50% cap on reservations. Again, this is not something that the entire alliance has echoed. So it does seem like there's a lack of coherence in that alliance. So they're not really talking to each other.
Yes, and even the face of that entire caste census and the related politics was
Mm.
Nitish Kumar. And Nitish Kumar has again changed sides. So I think yeah, they're really not getting the narrative right. And again, I mean, I in fact wanted to ask you also the last yatra there were so many visuals that were going viral. I don't
Yes.
see that happening this time. What's really going wrong?
This is my theory. I don't know for sure. And I'm from the South, right? I grew up in the South. And the Padyatra is a very popular thing in the South. But Padyatra, you have to actually walk. And this time, Rahul Gandhi is not walking. He's in like a bus van sort of setup. And somehow that's not connecting with people. Like there was one visual I saw, but he was sitting at the top of this structure, this vehicle of his, and there were people walking. And that was not a good visual for him. It was much more powerful when he was on the ground and people saw him like actually walking and everybody was walking with him. Here, riding on the top of a vehicle, I think is not connecting with people. It's not making that same impact. And you're absolutely right. I mean, if you remember when he started the yatra, he had to rush off when the Mamata Banerjee incident happened. He had to rush off again when the Nitish Kumar incident happened. So it's not even like he's saying, hey, I'm doing the yatra and my high command, which is Karge, can handle whatever comes up in the meantime. He's rushed off every time something happens. So it does give the sense that, the energy of the party is being drawn in different directions. But I want to sort of now move our attention to the farmer protest. We've seen these visuals now for the second time: spikes, barbed wire, tear gas, barricades keeping the farmers out. But there does seem to be a sort of, again, terror from the central government in the sense that they don't seem too worried that this will disrupt what they've got set up for the election. Could you tell us why that is?
So I think the calculation from the Modi government side is that the main traction for the farmers' protests are from the Sikh farmers of Punjab, who are probably
Hmm.
against the BJP anyway, and
Huh.
their vote is also likely to get split two ways at least, if not three ways, between the Congress, the Aam Aadmi Party, and the Akali Dal. And so I think the BJP has probably decided to say, okay, that is a loss we can probably bear. What they were worried of is if the impact of the farmers' protest would sort of percolate to the Jat peasants of Haryana and West UP. But they feel that they are sort of contained that by giving Bharat Ratna to Chaudhry Charan Singh and also getting Jan Chaudhary on their side. So
Yes.
probably West UP they are reasonably confident of now. Haryana is still a problem because Haryana, the Jat community is restive. There are pockets not outside the GT road belt where, like in places like Sirsa, where there is resentment against the state government led by Manohar Lal Khattar. So uh, I think there probably the farmers' protest could sort of increase the BJP's problems in a few pockets in Haryana. But other than that, I think they are reasonably assured that this won't lead to anything. But having said that, they want to ensure that the spectacle that the farmers' protest became last time doesn't happen this time. And that's why we see a large scale banning of Twitter accounts of farm leaders. Now, these are not leaders who have ever written anything other than pro farmer content or
Mm.
policy oriented content. So it's you can't even label them as being anti national or Khalistani. Of course, the BJP ecosystem will do that anyway. But a lot of these handles of I mean, it's so absurd that some farm leaders were negotiating with the central ministers and at that point of time, their handles were withheld
And
at almost at the same time.
I
So
think it could be. I think it could be an attempt to make sure that they're not gathering more support. So there's no call to action to like ask more people to come and join, which we saw happen last time. They would keep putting out information, and more people would come out of the villages. More farmers would come join, and it was sort of gathering support with every turn. This might be an attempt to keep them from gathering more and more people. To join them. Interestingly, this time Piyush Goyal and the agriculture minister sitting down for conversation much earlier than last time we saw. And the Indian Express has an interesting article in which they have source-based information saying that the BJP is going to run an entire campaign now, saying that this is all opposition parties led, farmer protests. That most of the demands that they're making are actually don't hold water. It's impossible to give in to these demands. But I have an interesting question from Aman Peshawari who says, isn't it a bad thing to give loan waivers for farmers? Won't the economy be affected? What is the economics behind it? Aditya?
so I'm really not an economic policy person, but from what happened during the previous loan waiver, I think because the economy was doing well at that point of time, the government could afford a loan waiver, and boosting the agricultural economy also ended up, because the purchasing power of farmers also increased, and they could do more with their farms, invest in more implements. So therefore, I think overall it helped India's food security and also the purchasing power of the profession, which in which the largest number of Indians are employed. So that I think is the broadly the calculation that parties give while
That companies can
giving
do.
these kind of loan waivers.
So actually, if I may hazard an explanation, which is very rudimentary, we tend to look at farm loan waivers as a bad thing because they tend to be very populist. They get announced right before elections, and we think that, oh my God, this is a terrible thing. But on the other hand, remember, we have the largest instance of farm suicides in the world, largely loan linked farm suicides. We are also a country that does a lot of waivering of loans for very, very rich people. And very, very rich companies that are willful defaulters, which means willful defaulters means they have the money to pay back, they're just choosing not to. So, on one hand, that is not vilified as much, I feel. And if we're going to say that farm loan waivers are bad, we should also consider write offs. We should consider the fact that there are many large, very prominent corporates that are willful defaulters, and then isn't that effectively also a waiver to someone who doesn't deserve one? And I like what Aditya is saying about the fact that loans tend to suppress our rural economy, and farm loan waivers then make it buoyant. And that's it's a personal sort of philosophy? Do you believe that this is something that we should be doing to help them out or not? That's really up to each voter and to each citizen. I want to ask you though, Aditya, about the South. There's an interesting South versus North thing that is brewing. We've seen a couple of the southern states band together on the fact that they don't believe they're getting enough of a share of the taxes that these states are paying. We know it's going to turn into a larger thing because the Modi government 3.0, when, I think we're now saying when instead of if, the Modi government 3.0's first point of agenda is delimitation, where Lok Sabha will be expanded and more seats will be given to the northern states, making the southern states less powerful on national politics. Do you think this is going to turn into a real thing?
I mean, there is substantial merit in the argument of many of the southern states because they are getting only a fraction of the, they're getting back only barely, in some cases, one third, some cases, 40% of what they are giving to the central revenue pool, as opposed to many states which are getting 4 times, 5 times, sometimes even 10 times of what they are contributing. So, and also the argument is that they are being penalized for doing better in terms of economic growth and also being penalized for doing better in terms of healthcare and birth control.
Yeah.
So they are, I mean, the states are suffering because they have actually done well, which is a quite a potent argument, and especially when it's combined with cultural nationalism in a state like Tamil Nadu or even Kerala for that matter. It becomes a very strong argument for a party like the DMK or even the left or the Congress in Kerala. What I, in fact, am curious about is how this would play out in Karnataka, which is a very
Mm.
important battleground state. And it's also a state that has voted for the BJP at the national level, irrespective of what happens at the state level for the past 3, 4 elections now. So, in fact, I wanted you to weigh in. How do you see this panning out in Karnataka?
So actually, Karnataka is my home state, right? I grew up in Bangalore. I'll tell you a couple of things I'm picking up every time I visit Bangalore. There is a new Congress government, and one of the few states where the Congress government has a nice sort of powerful position there with DK Shiv Kumar and Siddaramaiah. Citizens are not happy because there's not enough work happening on the ground. So there's no improvement in the traffic situation, there's no improvement in the water situation, there's no improvement, in these basic things that a citizen of a city like Bangalore that's doing so much work, that's contributing in such a great deal, there's no lack of funds in the city, right? But they're not seeing that sort of massive change happening on the ground. Now, juxtapose that with the Prime Minister and the BJP, who are on regular basis inaugurating infrastructure projects in cities like Mumbai, and so giving the sense that if the BJP is in charge, you will see actual physical infrastructural change. So while the state of Karnataka might have voted against the BJP on the state front, on the national front, um, their anger is emotive for a lot of people who might not, who are feeling really strongly about it. There is an infrastructure thing that they feel really strongly about. They do believe that it is the BJP that can do more from an infrastructure point of view. And I think that for many states, this double engine sarkar is starting to sink in. We'll have to see how this plays out because at the end of the day, remember the BJP runs a campaign only on the back of one face, and that is the Prime Minister. He is fairly popular in Karnataka as well. The other sort of angle in Karnataka that we should note is the JDS, which is the Kumaraswamy, the HD Devagowda party that has now shifted into alliance with the BJP. We understand during the recent Mandir inauguration, it was this party that conducted a lot of the events, the Mandir related events in Mandya, in these sort of areas in which the BJP had no presence up till now. But there is a feeling towards the Mandir that the JDS is able to harness. And I think that that's interesting. And they have still Devegowda, like Sharad Pawar, has a very large sort of following that's very loyal to him among the farmer community, among the Gowda community. That might be something that they might be able to push towards the BJP, sort of tipping that balance against the Congress.
Another interesting state in the south is actually Andhra Pradesh. It doesn't get talked about
Hmm.
as much because it's not a Congress versus BJP state. Both parties are
Yes.
marginal
Yes.
players. But we are now seeing Y.S. Sharmila move to the Congress, Pawan Kalyan and Naidu forming an alliance, BJP trying to woo Chiranjeevi with a Padma Vibhushan and then inviting him
Hmm.
for the Ram Mandir inauguration. So it does seem, I think, that the BJP is sort of trying to cobble together the entire anti-YSRCP space and quite interesting things happening even in Andhra Pradesh. I think if BJP has to achieve their mission 370, then they would need much more seats out of the south than they got last time.
Yeah.
So
Then they
probably
have last.
then that
So
explains
tell
this
me
entire.
something. Is there a theory right now about Vijay, who's launched his own political party in Tamil Nadu? And we know that the BJP, the rumblings of the BJP with their local state head has become stronger and stronger. He's a very vocal sort of person. But is Vijay a B team for the BJP?
So Vijay, I think, will come into play mainly in the assembly elections. But the theory among the DMK supporters is that BJP wants to splinter the entire Dravidian vote. So first, BJP and AIDMK have split. So there's what one split of the Dravidian vote will happen between the DMK and the AIDMK. Then we have Vijay. Then there is Seaman, who emerged as a important player in the last assembly elections. His vote share was better than Kamala Hassan's party. He uh, has a even more aggressive kind of ethnic nationalism, and sort of which undercuts the narrative of the Dravidian parties. So there is Seaman. So what BJP is probably hoping is that the Dravidian vote splits four ways or five ways, and the entire non-Dravidian vote the BJP is able to consolidate. How much that anti-Dravidian vote is there in Tamil Nadu, we don't know. So that is the big question that will determine the BJP's prospects in the state.
So, at the end of the day, right? So, on one hand, we have the sentiment that is the prime minister, and he did a very positive sentiment. And you did say they're going to need more numbers coming out of the south. They'll need more numbers coming out of the northeast, perhaps some parts of the north as well. From an arithmetic point of view, does it look safely like this government is going to come back again? Now we're just talking about by how much.
So if we go with the mood of the nation poll, that is the I think the latest poll that has come out. It predicts a safe victory for the BJP without any doubt, but it is nowhere near Mission 370. I think it keeps the BJP in the early 300s, which also I think means that the only gains the BJP is making, according to that survey, is a handful of seats in Uttar Pradesh, and that's about it. And they are losing a sizable number of seats in Maharashtra and a little bit in Bihar. So overall, in fact, I think that survey predicted a very small net loss for the BJP. They're gaining a bit in Assam. So it's interesting that the survey predicts that BJP is gaining in places where they have strong chief ministers, like Assam and Uttar Pradesh, and the India Alliance is sort of gaining in states where the arithmetic is sort of in their favor, with like Maharashtra and Bihar. But I don't think there's anything that is happening that could bring the NDA below the majority mark. I don't see any. I don't see any coherence in the opposition narrative either to pull something like that off.
Yeah. All right. So we leave it here for this week. Aditya, thank you so much for joining us. For our viewers, we're going to be here every week, Wednesday to Wednesday at 7 o'clock every evening. We'll discuss everything that's happened during the week. So if you have questions, and it's sort of like your conversation that we can all take part in. So do remember to join us every Wednesday at 7 o'clock. We'll be chatting with the Quint team. Take a look at the Quint's website and YouTube page for all of the ground reports that they're doing. They do some really amazing work, and you must take a look at that as well. Remember to like, share, and subscribe to this channel and download the Beetroot app. Thank you so much for watching. Thanks, Aditya. Have a really nice week.